we're about to get started. Okay, let's get started. Let's get the show on the road. Actually, let me bring the chat room right out of the gate. Hi, folks, everybody. I just barely made it. Rolled back. Can I send some love out right now? I want to send some love out, if I may, to Fat J. Fat J, you're the man. Fat J, that's his nickname for himself. Fat J at the Nevada DMV. You're a beast. You're a boss. You're friendly to no end. And a total pro, and makes me proud to believe in functioning government once again. Fat J for the win. Fat J FTW. That's what hashtag Fat J FTW. Nev DMV. You guys don't know what you have, and if there's going to be somebody to run the joint in a couple of years, it's going to be Fat J. I'm just saying, if he runs for the office, I'm gonna canvass for the dude. Yes, Fat J FTW. So there you go. Yeah, total success. I mean, I've got to wait. I've got a couple of weeks, obviously, till my new real ID arrives. Until then, you don't even know who I am. I could be someone else. I could be. Why is it Hal not at 100,000 yet? Because I got a lot of people who watch me on the down low. That's why. Now, got a high and tight show tonight, if you know, and I got way too many clips. There's no way I'll be able to get through any of this stuff, but the big beautiful bill is on everyone's mind, and it's exactly what Trump is trying to distract from in this process. But before we get into that, I want to show you something. A storyline. Let me see if this is the full follow through on this. This is that's the rundown of it, and then this is it's different footage from different places. And this the thing, lady. There you go, and and they went through this, and they got footage of the lady, I think. And they got footage of the lady who was driving the thing. So I don't know if you guys know this, but a car drove through the Chicago protests today, okay? And it was all over the news. And it just immediately, I think everybody's brain went to the same place on it. I'll show you a little bit of it. This is what the, here, I'll back it up. This young lady was working for CBS News, and she was in the middle of doing a live feed. Remember how I was saying they always show the cops behind them and the big line of cops, and they always kind of film that, and that's the background instead of what's actually happening the other direction. And then it's a huge shock when you turn around. There's like people throwing shit and everything, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe the cops aren't overreacting in some of these situations. Matter of fact, maybe they're being fairly stoic, and maybe they deserve some credit for. Because I know a bunch of people in my friend circle who would go ape shit if they were hit with a store-bought tear gas canister. But
that we
she's doing this
into custody. It's not clear why that person was taken into custody.
But she's just talking about people who've been busted.
That has been.
And then they go around here, and then as soon as she's talking,
is now walking this way down Monroe.
And he started.
Was surrounding. Okay, we're trying to figure out exactly what happened here.
Okay, so that was this happening. This is, let's see if I can show you where's the car the footage of this thing. If it drove, this is like AP footage. This is a better shot of it, I think. But this lady was hit by the vehicle.
That demonstration, when they saw the car speeding towards them, she says in a matter of seconds, she was on the ground.
This is the lady, she got hit. There it is.
A group of anti-ICE demonstrators in the loop.
It's like if
thousands of people pass across the country.
They pass in here. Hold on, let's see if they get.
Felt different than previous protests.
Okay, hold on.
In the street with other demonstrators around 6:30 p.m. when
here it comes.
I saw this red car accelerating at us.
I love this lady's voice, and I feel like she needs to be a Simpsons character immediately.
I better get out of the way.
I better get out of the way. Oh. I swear to God, we're this close to Chicken Lady voice.
She says in those frantic moments near Wabash and Monroe, she doesn't remember if she was actually hit by the car.
This lady, like, this is the tail end of this thing. They
or fell over in the pandemonium of the moment.
And the next thing,
she got beamed by the car. She got clipped by it as it went by.
I know people are carrying me.
Hey, Boston Brian. So.
They had put me in a collar because
okay, she's talking about this.
They plan to demonstrate this weekend, but now after her injuries, she says she doesn't know if she's going to be able to do that. We've also reached out to Chicago police for more information on the driver and the vehicle that was used during that incident yesterday. But
okay, so now let's chat room. Let's take a look at, and I've got to open up the. Let's see. I need to go to my regular page, and I need to pull up my history of stuff that I was watching while I was at the DMV waiting for my turn. There was this lady who drove through a bunch of strangers. Cars, yeah, I think, yeah, that was the CBS one. Chicago streets boiled anger vehicle charges anti-ICE. I think I have that one open, at least one inch. Okay, where the hell? They show, crap. Let's see here. Riders charge anti-ICE possession. Okay, Chicago.
We have been monitoring the situation all afternoon and evening here in the loop.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. So here it is. This is then later on in the evening they get details on the driver who drove through the thing. Now, check your brain right now for what you think the driver was doing, meant to do, your two different versions of the circumstance. And let's go with this guy goes through here, and then he talks through. Yeah, here we go. This is the situation. This is where, yeah.
Taken away in an ambulance. As thousands marched through the loop, this maroon sedan sped through a sea of protesters. Narrowly missing demonstrators, the driver then turns onto Michigan Avenue and drove past an unsuspecting divvy.
The car continued to accelerate. It started off at State Street about 30 miles an hour. By the time it got to Michigan, it was going 50 miles an hour.
Moments after that,
this is one of the ladies that was hit. Nobody was killed. Some people were harmed, minor injuries, but
through cell phone.
Now again, check yourself on what you think the driver is doing. They're not racing to the hospital. I'll give you that one right out of the gate. It is not somebody who is having a medical emergency.
Video taken from a nearby building shows an injured woman on the ground as a crowd begins to form. She's then loaded into an ambulance.
I don't even remember what was happening. I don't know if I was hit by the car. I just know people were picking me up. That's her.
It was a miracle that nobody got hit.
People did get hit. It's a miracle nobody got killed.
Was knocked over. Somebody was knocked over.
So, Karen says maybe they had to poop. You might be closer to reality there. We don't know.
But nobody got seriously hurt.
The driver.
There she is. There's the driver. That's the lady. Yellow tank top. She stopped when her car broke down.
The maroon car stopped only after her vehicle broke down. She got out wearing a yellow
Can I show you this? Can I get back the fuck up a second? There are two guys helping her push her car out of the way. Two white dudes helping this black lady push her car out of the way. They have no idea she just plowed through a bunch of people. They just know there's a lady with a broken down car, and they're like, you need some help moving it to the side? I love Chicago.
The maroon car stopped only after her vehicle broke down. She got out wearing a yellow tank top and then got back behind the wheel.
And where was she earlier in the day?
Moments earlier, it appears the same woman was on the front lines of the protest with a can of spray paint in hand. We've blurred her face because she's not been charged with a crime.
I'm sure that Superintendent Snelling and the members...
Yeah, she was a protester who at some point got in her car and drove through a bunch of protesters. Yeah, I wasn't driving, I was traveling. That's a sovereign citizen. So, yeah. Yeah, what the actual fuck is the perfect... Yeah, just moron. Just don't write it off as something like, maggot got tired of sitting in traffic and went through that. There's plenty of that shit, believe me. But in this particular instance, this lady just decided she had to be someplace else, and if people were in front of her, she didn't give a shit. She hit like 3 or 4 people, and they've tracked her down. They're going to charge her, but she hasn't been charged yet. And she had a can of spray paint. She was yelling at cops earlier. Yeah, Robin says, I almost said running from the cops. Yeah, but you don't run from the cops over your fellow protesters. You don't, right. Just stupid shit is exactly right. So a paid person, that might be the case. I'm curious about that case. We should follow up on it, methinks, and see what that, yeah, if she was a provocateur and was bugging out after she'd done what she was supposed to do, spray paint some shit, yell some things, throw something, get in a car and leave. And yeah. She was not drunk. The driving part, like, she was obviously able to converse with people. Like, those two dudes helping her move her car were obvious. Well, I mean, maybe they were like, you're drunk. We're going to push your car to the side of the road. Maybe, but we'll find out. Paid troublemaker? Maybe. We don't know. But think about what you thought about, like, a car drives through a bunch of protesters. Where does your brain immediately go? And if you'd have seen a clip of that car, and I hadn't shown you the rest of the context, where would your brain be on that? I'm just throwing that out there. I want to let that just sit, right? Let that just percolate, okay? All right, now, next up, Trump talked on the tarmac trying to play tough guy in his army hat. Don't care, 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 don't care. Oh, here we go.
That said it, and we actually spent 16 point something minutes on the phone, and I told him he's got to get his act together because you're going to have some bad times in Los Angeles.
Oh, this is him saying he made a phone call with Gavin Newsom at the beginning of the riots, and he didn't. He called after he had already deployed them.
We had a pleasant conversation. The proof was from the phone company. It was from the phone company. So I spoke to him at a certain time. I'm sure you all saw it.
We did. It was 4 days after you said you had spoken to him.
Well, why would you ask me that question if you saw it? You know, I mean, he asked...
Because you're an idiot.
He asked me a question, and then he says, yeah, I saw that you spoke to him. Yeah, I spoke to him for over 16 minutes. I spoke to him for over 16 minutes, and I told him to get his act together, but he hasn't been able to do that. I mean, the man... really, we could have a great, you know, we have an Olympics coming up. We have to put the right foot forward. We have to do a job. We have a lot of people all over the world watching Los Angeles.
Yeah, the audio is, by the way, the audio on this is mono. I don't know why.
We've got the Olympics, and we have this guy allowing this to happen. Let me tell you, when you watch these agitators break up concrete and hand it out to people as they stood online to get it, these have to be paid troublemakers.
I agree. I think your people are paying them. I think like everybody around Stephen Miller is going, ease up on that.
You appear to say that the governor and the mayor paid them. Do you believe that the governor and the mayor paid the agitators?
No, I don't say the governor and the mayor. I said somebody's paying them, I think. And if they're not, they're just troublemakers. What can I tell you?
Great. Okay, if they're not, then shut the fuck up, I guess.
But I believe somebody's paying them. I mean, I've never seen somebody with a...
Also, can I just say, who gives a shit what you believe? If you're an official of the government or you're in any position of power, I got to tell you, I'm fucking over what these assholes believe. I want to see the evidence or shut the hell up. I can say I believe. You can say you believe because we don't have access to every piece of data that's available to the president of the United States or the AG of the fucking country or the head of the FBI. We don't have access to all that stuff. So at a certain point, we run up against abutment of what we can prove based on the shit that is available to us, right? And he doesn't have to do that. He's got access to all this information.
Big hammer, so professional. Now they took the bricks away from them. So they say, how do we get in? The military did. How do we get in and what do we do? They said, I have an idea. Let's break up the concrete. And that's even better than bricks. And that's what happened.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Honestly. Sorry. Uh-oh. Oh my God. Why would... Oh, is it the catheter that he's wearing that's... Oh. He's got pee-pee problems, right. What happened? Are we okay?
The kidney has a very special place in the heart.
That is true. That is true. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. Meanwhile, what I was trying to do...
Here I am like an idiot.
Yeah. So...
Witnessed an amazing spectacle, a flex on our military. What impressed you the most?
Oh, that's Brian Glenn asking him a question.
I think the total love for the military. I mean, I was with the generals. They're explaining the different maneuvers. And the love they have for the Army and the military, it's beautiful. They're really great people. And I've never seen anything quite like that. I don't think any other president has either. You know, they really put on a good show. I asked them, did you do that
show?
for Biden? They said no, they didn't do it for Biden. I wonder why.
Because he didn't ask for it? Because he's not an egomaniacal sociopath?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I know this. As long as we have the military there, the protests won't mean anything. Last night, if we weren't there, they would have burned down the city.
No, they would not have.
But they did not a lot of damage other than they broke up a lot of concrete looking for weapons. You know, those are weapons.
Yes, hidden in the concrete. They've got this great thing. You know how you smuggle a file into prison in a cake? They just smuggle weapons in concrete blocks, you know, for ease of transport.
If that hits somebody in the head, the person's dead. You know that, right?
What do you mean by a very heavy
No, not really.
force will be met with the protest?
Oh, the military will be very heavy force. I'm very proud to tell you that. They might as well turn around. They're wasting their time. Some of them will end up in jail for a long period of time. They use weapons. That concrete is a weapon, a dangerous weapon. Worse than a brick, heavier than a brick.
Yeah, I mean, you can't even start. Don't get me started on fucking bricks at this point. That's why they carry the soup, right?
Soup. And they
soup.
Throw the cans of soup. That's
hold on. Is the yeah.
big bags of soup, and they lay it on the ground, and the anarchists take it and they start throwing it at our cops, at our police, and they start throwing it at our cops, at our police. And when they get caught, they say, "No, this is just soup for my family."
Yeah.
And they were dropping it off bridges and throwing it at soldiers and police. They're not doing that. You know, I went in my first term, I waited for governors to call in the military, and they didn't want to do it. And I watched Minneapolis and other places burn for a long time. And I said, when are you going to call? When are you going to call? And I said, if I ever do this again, if they're not responsive at the beginning, not at the end. You know, I called in the military in Minneapolis, but it was 7 days. I waited for this guy, the same guy that ran for vice president, who's a very dumb person. He's a low IQ individual, like many Democrats are. But
again, the Minneapolis riots stopped because George Floyd's brother spoke out, and they ended that night.
I waited for him to call him in. I kept waiting. I'd call him every day. I'd say, when are you calling him? And finally I called him, because I'm not going to wait. They were destroying the city. The whole city was burning down.
No, it was not. It's like a 2-block area, you weirdo.
Horrible. Okay.
The whole city was burning down.
For Thursday from Governor Newsom's lawsuit, do you think your administration will be successful Thursday for the hearing?
Well, even Senator Fetterman said very strongly that this is horrible what they're doing, and that the Democrats are making a big mistake by not talking about it. And I agree with that. I think this is in a league with, and maybe even worse in a true sense, what they're doing is now worse than men playing in women's sports. I think that's a ridiculous thing. Open borders. You take a look at open borders.
Okay, again, this is just like brain fart.
Open borders is what caused it. Many of these people, many of them, not all of them, I guess, but many of them came through the Joe Biden stupid open borders.
No, they didn't, or you'd just be able to get more of them. Again, we've talked about this. The numbers aren't anywhere near what he says.
It's really sad to watch. It's very sad to watch this being our country. Now, with our national...
Yeah, I agree. With you as the president, yeah, it's very sad.
Guard and our, fairly low number of Marines, they had no chance. And if you look, they were a little bit tougher than the police. Did you notice that?
Quality production there from Forbes Breaking News.
Police are trained not to do it. They're really trained. They're under tremendous political constraint. They're great police. I know the police in LA.
Not political constraint, legal.
I know the force. They're very good, but they're not allowed to do their thing. They're just not allowed. They're restricted by
the law.
Radical left politicians who are pretty shameful.
As Commander-in-Chief, sir, what rules of engagement do you want for the military? What limitations?
A very simple rule of engagement. If they're dangerous, if they're throwing concrete or bricks, if they're spitting in the face of the police or whoever's in front of them, if they're punching people, if they're doing all of the things that you see.
Yeah, the stuff that the police are already taking care of.
For the last 3 nights, that I would say is engagement. We need to keep our city straight. I want to save Los Angeles. And
from itself.
Newsom is
and John Boyd.
Totally incompetent. He's not going to do it. Look at the fires he had. He had fires where half the city, it seemed, burned down.
Well, I mean, then that's good because the rioters only have half a city to destroy. So
25,000 houses, all because he wouldn't take water. I released the water from the Pacific Northwest.
Yes, into the Central Valley.
And it came down millions of gallons a day. And it's right there right now. They'd like to send it back.
They'd like to send it back. The farmers would, because you turned their fields into saltwater pits.
There's something wrong with these people. All I want in terms of engagement, I just want to see peace. If there's peace, we get out. If there's even a chance of no peace, we stay there until there's peace. And
even a chance of no peace. Great. So, gotcha. No peace, no justice. That's his argument. The ball's in your court.
A lot of people are being arrested. The rioters, or whatever you want to call them, they better know. A lot of people are being arrested. They're gonna.
Yeah, we know. Gavin Newsom told us. By the way, can we jump over to listen to what he just said? And then I think, let's see, where are we? Oh my God, the people. Here we go. This is Gavin Newsom's take. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but hold on. Why is this audio out? Huh. Of course, Forbes would cut the audio on their own clip. Assholes. Okay, hold on. Newsom speech. Let's go to.
I want to say a few words about the events of the last few days. This past weekend, federal agents conducted large-scale workplace raids in and around Los Angeles. Those raids continue as I speak. California is no stranger to immigration enforcement, but instead of focusing on undocumented immigrants with serious criminal records and people with final deportation orders, a strategy both parties have long supported, this administration is pushing mass deportations, indiscriminately targeting hardworking immigrant families, regardless of their roots or risk.
I got to tell you, Trump, you better watch out. This motherfucker's going to Kennedy you. He's going to come around the outside, and you guys aren't prepped for it. You're not prepped for a telegenic, smart, well-spoken dude who's not afraid to push back on the slacktivists in his own party.
What's happening right now is very different than anything we've seen before. On Saturday morning, when federal agents jumped out of an unmarked van near a Home Depot parking lot, they began grabbing people, a deliberate targeting of a heavily Latino suburb. A similar scene played out when a clothing company was raided downtown. In other actions, a U.S. citizen.
Oops, sorry. The clothing company, the entire and again, this is sweatshop conditions and all this stuff. This is stuff that a lot of us fought back against. Remember when Kathy Lee Gifford had clothes of hers made in a sweatshop and all that kind of stuff? Again, arrest the employers. These people are desperately, if you're going to take a job in a fucking clothing warehouse, you're working your ass off. Arrest the employers. If you're going to bother anybody, and give the other people around them a chance to at least they may have made a mistake and gotten caught up in this, and they haven't had access to they might have wanted to go home, and they don't have access to their passport. They're just stuck.
9 months pregnant, was arrested. A 4-year-old girl taken. Families separated. Friends, quite literally, disappearing. In response, everyday Angelenos came out to exercise their constitutional right to free speech and assembly, to protest their government's actions. In turn, the state of California and the city and county of Los Angeles sent our police officers to help keep the peace. And with some exceptions, they were successful. Like many states, California is no stranger to this sort of unrest. We manage it regularly.
Especially when Trump is in power.
And with our own law enforcement. But this, again, was different. What then ensued was the use of tear gas, flashbang grenades, rubber bullets. Federal agents detaining people and undermining their due process rights. Donald Trump, without consulting California law enforcement leaders, commandeered 2,000 of our state's National Guard members to deploy on our streets, illegally and for no reason. This brazen abuse of power by a sitting president inflamed a combustible situation, putting our people, our officers, and even our National Guard at risk. That's when the downward spiral began. He doubled down on his dangerous National Guard deployment by fanning the flames even harder. And the president, he did it on purpose. As the news spread throughout LA, anxiety for family and friends ramped up. Protests started again. By night, several dozen lawbreakers became violent and destructive. They vandalized property. They tried to assault police officers. Many of you have seen the video clips of cars burning on cable news. If you incite violence, I want to be clear about this.
And by the way, this whole they don't care, Democrats want this and blah, blah, blah. I've never seen a Democrat make a speech like this. This is a particularly good one, but I've seen a bunch of them make, conversations about the people who have a right to protest, what the grievance actually is. None of them breeze over the violence that does occur. And he's probably more direct than anybody.
Incite violence or destroy our communities, you're going to be held to account. That kind of criminal.
Somebody just said, Hal, why didn't the National Guard refuse to comply and stay away? I'll tell you why. Because there was actual violence, and that's reason enough. If there's any potential that it would ratchet up, their job would be to stand there and guard that facility. The agitators themselves allowed for this escalation. It's not the the legal violation, with California is one thing, but the National Guard's members themselves wanting to guard the building makes total sense.
Behavior will not be tolerated. Full stop. Already more than 220 people have been arrested, and we're reviewing tapes to build additional cases, and people will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Again, thanks to our law enforcement officers and the majority of Angelenos who protested peacefully, the situation was winding down and was concentrated in just a few square blocks downtown.
Right.
But that's not what Donald Trump wanted. He again chose escalation. He chose more force. He chose theatrics over public safety. He federalized another 2,000 Guard members. He deployed more than 700 active U.S. Marines. These are the men and women trained for foreign combat, not domestic law enforcement. We honor their service. We honor their bravery. But we do not want our streets militarized by our own armed forces, not in LA, not in California, not anywhere. We're seeing unmarked cars in school parking lots, kids afraid of attending their own graduation. Trump is pulling a military dragnet all across Los Angeles, well beyond his stated intent to just go after violent and serious criminals. His agents are arresting dishwashers, gardeners, day laborers, and seamstresses. That's just weakness masquerading as strength.
That's probably the most direct shot at Trump's masculinity.
Donald Trump's government isn't protecting our communities. They're traumatizing our communities. And that seems to be the entire point.
Yep.
California will keep fighting. We'll keep fighting on behalf of our people, all of our people, including in the courts. Just yesterday, we filed a legal challenge to Donald Trump's reckless deployment of American troops to a major American city. Today, we sought an emergency court order to stop the use of the American military to engage in law enforcement activities across Los Angeles. If some of us could be snatched off the streets without a warrant, based only on suspicion or skin color, then none of us are safe. Authoritarian regimes begin by targeting people who are least able to defend themselves, but they do not stop there. Trump and his loyalists, they thrive on division because it allows them to take more power and exert even more control. And by the way, Trump, he's not opposed to lawlessness and violence as long as it serves him. What more evidence do we need than January 6th?
That's right.
I ask everyone, take time, reflect on this perilous moment. A president who wants to be bound by no law or constitution, perpetuating a unified assault on American traditions. This is a president who in just over 140 days has fired government watchdogs that could hold him accountable for corruption and fraud. He's declared a war on culture, on history, on science, on knowledge itself. Databases, quite literally, are vanishing. He's delegitimizing news organizations, and he's assaulting the First Amendment. And the threat of defunding them, at threat, he's dictating what universities themselves can teach. He's targeting law firms and the judicial branch that are the foundations of an orderly and civil society. He's calling for a sitting governor to be arrested for no other reason than to, in his own words, for getting elected. And we all know this Saturday, he's ordering our American heroes, the United States military, and forcing them to put on a vulgar display to celebrate his birthday, just as other failed dictators have done in the past. Look, this isn't just about protests here in Los Angeles. When Donald Trump sought blanket authority to commandeer the National Guard, he made that order apply to every state in this nation. This is about all of us. This is about you. California may be first, but it clearly will not end here. Other states are next. Democracy is next. Democracy is under assault before our eyes. This moment we have feared has arrived. He's taking a wrecking ball to our founding fathers' historic project. 3 co-equal branches of independent government. There are no longer any checks and balances. Congress is nowhere to be found. Speaker Johnson has completely abdicated that responsibility. The rule of law has increasingly been given way to the rule of Don. The founding fathers, they didn't live and die to see this kind of moment. It's time for all of us to stand up. Justice Brandeis, he said it best. In a democracy, the most important office, with all due respect, Mr. President, is not the presidency, and it's certainly not governor. The most important office is office of citizen. At this moment, we all need to stand up and be held to account, a higher level of accountability. If you exercise your First Amendment rights, please, please do it peacefully. I know many of you are feeling deep anxiety, stress, and fear, but I want you to know that you are the antidote to that fear and that anxiety. What Donald Trump wants most is your fealty, your silence to be complicit in this moment. Do not give in to him. I want to say a few.
Great ending, by the way. Just flat out, do not give in to him. That's that. Great speech. I think articulated incredibly well, fitting the direct moment, but also kind of the gathering moment that we've all been in and what we're actually seeing here. And again, this is 100% why I don't want to hear anybody yammering about imperfect Democrats of any sort, because the scale is so far out of whack. Yes, Gavin's definitely going to run, I think, in 2021. 2021. Listen to me, 2028. And I will definitely, be nice to him when I run against him. But he's a fantastic guy, and like I said, I marched with him for gay marriage from Harvey Milk Square in San Francisco to the Supreme Court building. I got to talk to him at length before and during that march, and then after, and I really appreciate the dude, I have to say. And he got so much shit when he broomed Kimberly Guilfoyle, and everybody was like, "What's he doing?" He's like dropping the one that brung him to the dance, and he's going after this newscaster lady that he was dating at the time. They've been together ever since, and we've all seen what Kimberly Guilfoyle was really like. So yeah, so dude's he's like he's firing on all cylinders right now. And I wanted to show everybody that in the meantime, in comparison to this, whatever the fuck blather this nonsense is that we were watching on the tarmac. Right? And Newsom is a young dude, especially compared to him, certainly compared to Biden or anybody else. But he's not as young as some of the other people that will be running. So he's kind of in that perfect window. And I do think there's a chance that he'll make a really strong push. That's it. Okay, let's move on, chat room. I just wanted you guys to see all that, and the reaction to it, by the way, from the right has been, I mean, look at his face. Look at his big dumb face. Look how mad he is. Look how upset he is. How dare you talk back to my guy?
Defending what's happening in Los Angeles as a mostly peaceful protest, and that Donald Trump is somehow the instigator. That's it. It is a preposterous party, and they have certain rules that they kind of go by.
All right, let's hear what the rules are.
The delusion.
The rule of delusion.
You have to be under a delusion to think any of this stuff is, right? Delusion.
Not so much a rule, but okay.
I think that's a great word for their MO. Or you have to be insane. I mean, totally crazy to adopt this kind of approach.
So far, this is working really well. You got a montage picture of people, and then you put words over them. This is great. I mean, I don't really need any details. I think this is good. You should just kind of, did you buy a new thesaurus, and you're just going to rotate through?
To life. And if you're not insane, and if you're not delusional, you just have to lie a lot. You have to be very, very good at lying.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess what do you mean? So to beat Trump at his own game?
It's a corrosive effect. It's like.
Are you okay, Greg? Are you choking on your sorrow?
There's so much rust on the car, it's falling apart. I remember when this was considered very, very unusual reporting. This was in the summer.
It's not unusual to be. Sorry.
Of 2020, right in the middle of Black Lives
Matter. Oh, yeah, they go back to this. Ali Velshi, you're never going to live this down.
And just about everybody was making fun of this guy, even some of his friends on the left.
I want to be clear in how I characterize this. This is mostly a protest. It is not, generally speaking, unruly.
All right, what was that? May 28th, 2020.
Yeah, who was president then?
I thought that was, I don't know, it seemed like a monumental moment, but it's nothing compared to today. I mean, all right, he's just some no-name reporter at MSN.
He's not a no-name. He's got his own. He's got a show on a real network. Greg?
BC. These people are, well, I guess they've said crazy things before, but I mean, come on, check this out.
Local law enforcement has said they can handle the protests. It's no different than when a team wins a national championship and people get overexcited and they overturn vehicles and light them on fire.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, it is. But it's smaller. I would argue you're right. It's not the same thing. It's actually less than that, because when the Lakers win something, it's all of downtown. It's from LA Live to the fucking freeway. This is in a 4-block area.
No, it's not. Although it is pretty peculiar when you win and you start rampaging through downtown. Never really understood that. Here's some advice from Maxine Waters. Do not believe your eyes, all right? Don't believe it. Don't believe what you're seeing. Don't believe what you know.
Oh, yeah. You mean the fact that you're playing the same shit on a loop and saying it's everywhere?
Don't think that somehow, because they called out the National Guard, there was violence. There was no violence. I was on the street.
She was there. There was no violence. She was on the street. And
right, until the National Guard showed up.
I think for the 5 minutes she was on the street talking to some Telemundo reporter, there was no car on fire within half a block, all right? But we saw it, you saw it, her staff saw it, and they lied.
Yeah, don't show it to me again, because, again, it just proves that it's not everywhere if you have to show me the same fucking Waymo car on fire.
Well, the White House is watching as well. And I think this is a magnificent, kind of a masterpiece that they put out, calling everything for what it was. Yeah, hit it, Corey.
The reality is we see peaceful protests launching in Los Angeles.
Take your hands off these poor people who are just trying to live their lives, man. Trying to live their lives.
Yeah, again, right. Uh-huh.
The vast majority of protesters and demonstrators.
Quality audio there, White House.
Are peaceful.
What is just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn.
Same dude over and over.
Saying that they have it under control.
Things are under control. Peaceful protests are taking place.
Right. Same Waymo car.
If you're a responsible president like the occupant of the White House right now, Donald Trump, you see some of that stuff on TV, you're bound to send in the troops.
No, you're not. They can handle it. They've got their own. They can call in the National Guard themselves.
California can't or won't handle it.
I'm going to go with won't. Fuck it. You know what? I'm tired of arguing. Won't. We just don't want it. We're just sick of downtown. It was, nobody really lives down there anyways. And, it's not like other downtowns. We just like to start from scratch. So we're just starting a giant riot down there so that, the burning can go, start and go out of control. Instead of burning the Palisades, which was perfectly nice the way it is, burn all of downtown so we could start building brand new buildings, the mega structures, just brutalist architecture and lofts. That's the goal. That's why we're not enforcing this. We really do want it to burn.
And that was admitted early on in the crisis. This is the chief of police. He's in a rather awkward position, right? Because his bosses are woke maniacs.
Uh-huh.
But he had to tell the truth. They did not have a handle on the situation.
Do we need them? Well, looking at it tonight, this thing has gotten out of control. I think before I could answer that, I'd have to know more about what their capabilities are. Looking at the violence tonight, I think we got to make a reassessment.
Reassessment about the...
Yeah, it sounds like he's totally bending over backwards for you there, buddy.
Guard, right? At first, it was like, okay, we don't need them, but it was so violent. Yeah, I think we probably need them.
Depending on what they're here to do, because we don't need them attacking the populace. If they're going to stand there and be a wall, cool, I guess, then we can do other shit. I think that's what he means.
And if you're not...
It's exactly what he means, by the way. It's like, if the guard's going to do something, they're literally going to guard something, while the police go out and they don't have to guard, they don't have to have their riot shields and stand in a line. They can go bust people who are throwing shit and arrest them.
Up to making that decision, it's okay. The President of the United States will make it for you, all right? Unambiguous. He knew what needed to be done.
Why would we need Marines ever?
And what's the worst that can happen, all right?
Marines somebody shoots at them, and the Marines open fire because they're trained for battle. And before anybody can say ceasefire, dozens of people are dead. Kent State on steroids.
Maybe they're not needed. Maybe the whole situation is quelled before these guys get there. But that has not happened.
Yeah, it kind of has.
Meanwhile, Governor Gavin Newsom is more interested in paperwork.
This is exactly what he wanted. This is what he intended by illegally acting to federalize the...
Oh, by the way, Greg Kelly would like you to know that the Constitution is just paperwork.
National Guard. We're going to be initiating a lawsuit first thing tomorrow morning.
First thing tomorrow morning. Even if I were initiating a lawsuit, right, I'd do it at midnight. I'd serve the papers, right away. He's got 50,000 lawyers who work for him. First thing in the morning. Doesn't that sound lame?
No, it sounds like you want it to stick, and you're not just, it's not performative.
To clear the streets right now. No, first thing in the morning. It just doesn't, it doesn't work. Now.
Yeah, it's not, well, good Lord.
Preposterous party. They...
this is, by the way, this is the big sales pitch. This is the marketing geniuses at Newsmax. Preposterous party. This is what they came up with. This is, honest to God. This is the, you know how everybody's saying that the right wingers are marketing geniuses and we need to catch up with them. Can we just throw that fucking shit out the window right now? Can we just, I'm annoyed. That's just lame. They looked for a word that started with a P because they wanted to use the word party. Like, because they couldn't do Democrats or some shit, or the head of Newsmax wouldn't allow them to do it or some shit.
Still are devoted to that Nancy Pelosi. Please, Nancy. Well, I kind of like it when you talk, but they should not let you talk. Take a look.
I hope the president would read Article 10 of the Constitution, and I urge all of you to do that as well, because Section 12046 of Article 10 says that the National Guard cannot be called up by the president without the consent of the governor.
All right, imagine this, right? She's getting it all backwards and wrong. Nancy, how could that be wrong? Well, number one, that's not in the Constitution, all right? We're talking about the U.S. Code. It's two different things. And let's go ahead and read the law. Under Title 10, U.S. Code, Section 12406, you even got the number wrong, the president may call into federal service members and units of the National Guard
Hold on.
of any state.
Okay, here we go. Let's see if that's the whole truth and nothing but the truth there, Greg. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Title 10, U.S. Code. U.S. Code 12406. Okay.
In such numbers as he considers necessary to repel the invasion, suppress the rebellion, or execute those laws. This goes all the way back, folks, we believe, to 1903.
We believe. Okay. Let's do this. 12046. National Guard and Federal Service call the United States or any of the Commonwealth possessions is invaded or is in danger of invasion.
What she's actually getting...
Shut the fuck up. Here we go. This is the actual thing. Right? Oh, well, wait. He's about to say something else. Hold on. Let me see what he says.
Is this next part. And you can have a debate, you can have a conversation, but we're going to win that debate and we're going to dominate that conversation. The code goes on to say orders for these purposes shall be issued through the governors of the states or, in the case of the District of Columbia, through the commanding general of the National Guard of the District of Columbia. All right, so there it says you got to go through the governor.
Right, and if the governor says no, you can't go through the governor. You can't run over the governor. You have to initiate this through the governor. So if the governor rejects it, they have the right to do that under federalism.
And it doesn't look like he's doing that in this case.
It's also not a rebellion by any stretch.
However, we got something called the Insurrection Act. And people are saying, well, the president has not invoked the Insurrection Act. He has not declared an insurrection. You actually don't have to do that. Like, there's a law on the books that says don't murder, right? You don't have to invoke the law against murder.
Okay, fucko. That's not how this works at all. It's like declaring an emergency. It's not always a fucking emergency. You have to declare an emergency to get emergency funding. The Insurrection Act, you do have to declare that it's officially an insurrection because you can't just randomly call shit an insurrection. You also can't just say someone is guilty of murder if they have defended themselves. They get due process. That has to go through governors and senators and like through the DA or the AG of a state. Right. This is so fucking dumb.
To not murder somebody. I hope that makes sense. The Insurrection
It does not. You're a dipshit.
Act goes like this. Use of the militia and armed forces to enforce federal authority whenever the president considers that unlawful obstructions, combinations, or assemblages or rebellion against the authority of the United States make it impractical to enforce the laws of the United States in any state by the ordinary course of judicial proceedings. He may call into federal
by the ordinary course of judicial proceedings.
Service, the militia of any state, blah, 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 blah. And he doesn't have to tell the governor anything. Although in this case, he did notify the governor.
The order of you have to go through regular judicial order. You have to file that it's officially an insurrection. You have to call it that. You have to be able to justify it. So you can't just randomly say that a bunch of peaceniks someplace are doing an insurrection and just kill them all because you consider what they're doing like treason. It's ridiculous.
One other thing.
I mean, it's just dumb. Again, if this was the case, then then the Capitol Police could have opened fire on all of the Capitol rioters and just called it a day. They would not have had to wait for Trump to call it an insurrection. They could have seen it with their own eyes and killed everybody.
This is muscle memory for them. January 6th. They lied about it so much, some of them actually believe it to be the truth.
On January 6th, with violence against the Constitution, against the Congress, and against the United States Capitol.
All true.
We beg the President of the United States to send in the National Guard.
You lie!
Look how freaked out he is. He blew his mic out.
You lie! I feel like that congressman from South Carolina, right? You lie! That is a lie, all right? We can go into the whole story about how he...
Go in for the whole story, because you offered them, but you offered them without weapons and without any gear, and again, a ratcheting up of violence. Again, the idea that you would need the National Guard before the shit happened, it means that you were aware that it was going to happen, or you were okay with it, or at one point, in retrospect, January 6th, looking back, there should have been more protection because it happened. But there's a timeline where it didn't, and just running like rows of fucking National Guards people would have been horrible optics. Yeah, you want to hear the story, Monica? See what he says? I don't know that he'll make up the whole thing. But again, in retrospect, like you can Monday morning quarterback a lot of shit.
He provided, you heard that thing about the District of Columbia. He had them at the ready. They did not want it. There's a whole...
Right, because it was bad optics and they didn't know there was going to be an attack. Also, Trump wanted his own picked National Guard people. He wanted people brought up from Texas and Arkansas and all these states that had filed lawsuits against Georgia and others to try and upend the election. So he wanted his own foot soldiers.
System, and they blew it off. And he's not a security guard, all right? There's a whole other January 6th scam that we've been through.
No, there isn't.
But let's go through the January 6th scam.
Okay.
A real quick reminder, all right?
Yes, that Greg is lonely in this world because his dream girl, Ashley Babbitt, was dusted off.
What it was and what it wasn't, and what's happening in Los Angeles, and compare it to, Big O with his feet up on the desk. What's worse? Looting the Adidas store and the Apple store and 500 other businesses, or Big O taking a break in Nancy Pelosi's office?
The attack on the Capitol during the counting of the votes. while he was there, a woman stole a laptop from the speaker's office and tried to sell it to Russia, dumb fuck. I don't give a shit about shoes and laptops.
Next, please. What's worse? Stuff on fire all over the place? How many cars? 100 cars? Or walking around with that podium?
Three cars. 3.
The podium guy.
Hey, fuck you, Greg. Hold on one second. Hold on. This is just fucking weak. Hold on. How about this, dipshit? How about this? Where is it? Here, play. Why won't you play, you stupid, stupid thing? Here we go. Hold on. Of course it's sticking. Why wouldn't it? Hold on one second. Back up.
So we're going to see some of what our witnesses saw on January 6th. Let's see the video, please. But please be advised that it contains graphic images and strong language.
The fact that Greg thinks it was just people putting their feet up and walking out with a podium,
which many may find disturbing.
And here we go.
Hey, brother, we're boots on the ground here. We're moving on to Capitol now. I'll give you a boots on the ground update here in a few.
Multiple capital entries. Multiple capital entries.
I don't know. What's worse? Bunch of assholes stealing shoes or laptops? Or the capital of the United States?
We're still taking metal, sharpened objects, missiles to include bottles and rocks, and hand-thrown chemical-grade fireworks.
I don't know, Greg. You tell me.
This is now effectively a riot.
1349 hours declaring it a riot.
But there might be Adidas in there, Greg. Fuck Greg Kelly and his bullshit.
Okay, guys. Apparently, this tip of the spear has entered the Capitol building.
Oh, little Confederate flag there. By the way, I'm going to have Harry Dunn on the show on Friday. This is going to come up.
If I give this up, they're going to have direct access. At least this Capitol we can defend. We gotta hold what we have. Take your pins off.
Yeah. The fuck?
Take your pins off.
Sorry, what was Greg saying again? What was Greg saying about this bullshit?
100 cars? We're walking around with that podium. The podium guy. Keep going, please. What's worse? The horns guy asking for and getting directions from a Capitol Hill police officer, this way to the Senate, or the dude on the left attempting to murder federal officers by...
Oh, get the fuck out of here. By throwing rocks at cars. I don't know. Let's see.
1033, west part of the Capitol. We've been pranked and we've lost the line.
Gee, I don't know. Adidas store or January 6th? I can't even tell which one is which, Greg Kelly, you fucking garbage man. You know, you might be right. The Adidas thing, the Adidas store might be worse. Hey, the gallows.
They've got the gallows set outside this Capitol building. It's time to start fucking using them.
Start making a list, put all those names down, and we start hunting them down one by one.
Yeah, this would be a classic insurrection.
Mobilize in your own cities, your own counties, storm your own Capitol buildings, and take down every one of these corrupt motherfuckers. So we fucking need to have 30,000 guns up here. That's true.
We need to have 30,000 guns up here next trip. That's for the folks that thought it was a dry run in this. Now, let's watch Greg Kelly go, the silly horns guy.
Throwing huge rocks right at the windshield. Next, please. I think it's pretty obvious, right? Burning the American flag.
Dude, fuck you. They carried a Confederate flag into the Capitol.
Somehow, no, that's okay. You can burn flags as long as it's the American flag, right? Remember the American flags that were there on January 6th? Hey.
Yeah, I remember the Confederate flags too.
There's a whole other component to this, right? Do you know what it is? It's about race, everybody, race. Because
what?
The MAGA people were mostly white, liberal.
Whoa. Whoa. That's the excuse?
Commentators, politicians of all stripes felt comfortable condemning white working class people. And
I don't know what kind of jobs these assholes had. They were screaming to hang Mike Pence, you weirdo. None of us have a problem condemning people. Again, at the top of this fucking show, I pointed out that the woman who drove the car through the people in Chicago, the protest there, was a black lady who was part of the protest earlier. It has nothing to do with skin. It's wrong. Fuck her. I don't know what the hell was going on. The same thing is true here. I think the opposite is true, Greg. I think the reality is that you, no matter what you do, cannot condemn white people. You just can't do it. You're incapable. It isn't about other people's limitations or bigotries. It's about your own. You have a protective bigotry for these maggot dipshits.
They don't feel comfortable condemning illegal, alien, criminal maniacs. Keep going, just a couple of more if you don't mind. Oh, this is one of my favorite pictures from January 6th. Have you ever... Excuse me, officer, we seem to have a misunderstanding. I was here for the reenactment of this.
It's hilarious. I like the part where the guy was, let's see, this one right here. How about, here's a funny lady. How about this?
The woman from Mercer County known as the Pink Hat Lady was convicted of all charges related to the events of January 6th. Rachel Powell was convicted of joining the mob in an attempt to keep President Biden out of the White House. She used a battering ram to break into the Capitol during the riot, and video showed her using a bullhorn to direct people. She'll be sentenced later.
Till she was, pardoned by Trump at one point. Let's see, graphic new video. Let's see this one right here. Oh, let's grab a, here's my, here.
Liz Cheney.
Oops. Back up here. Hold on.
To come to D.C. that day. His own vice president, Republican rioters chant.
Oh yeah, here you go. Here's a picture for you, Greg. How about that one? There's a picture for you. And guess what? They were planning on using it to hang largely white people. Something I would think you would be kind of against. As a matter of fact, Mike Pence might be the whitest person this side of Steve Martin. But, sorry, tell me something about sneakers and fireworks.
Whoa. Or the total mayhem on the right. You get the picture, right? You get the picture.
On the left, you mean?
It's pretty actually vivid. It's amazing. These people happy, selfies. All right. Got to go on to Gavin Newsom's horrible role in all this. If you don't mind, take a look at what he was saying yesterday.
Oh, when he called Trump a bitch, basically?
You're seeing these authoritarian tendencies now are being acted out by this administration. And we're case in point.
Greg is going to be very upset.
As it relates to nationalizing, federalizing the National Guard, threatening now to put in Marines. So I hope these people would pause and just consider.
All right, but that was yesterday or the day before. He was passionately against the deployment of the National Guard or the Marines in California.
No. He's saying you can't circumvent the governor to put National Guard troops in there or put especially Marines, because they did it quite in short order. Governors have rights. Citizens of those states have rights through their governor.
California. But maybe he had a change of heart, because here he is advocating passionately for the deployment of the National Guard in California.
In January of 2021.
Let me be clear. There will be no tolerance for violence. That's why today, along with the CHP and Office of Emergency Services, I've activated the California National Guard to support.
He did it. Right. He did it. Again, this is like the Kilmar Obrego Garcia shit. They have no idea how our system works. The Constitution is just paperwork to Greg Kelly.
The CHP to enhance security with an initial deployment of up to 1,000 Guard members to protect critical state infrastructure in and around the state capitol.
Hey, sounds like a great idea, except that was 5 years ago. January 14th, 2020.
Yeah, we know, and it was his idea, you fucking weirdo.
21. This was all about...
oh, and by the way, Biden wasn't president yet. This is before Biden was president.
Overreacting.
He was the 19th his swearing in on the in 2021?
January 6th. This is 8 days later. And guess who gets all the National Guard troops? He does. Around the state capitol building, he wanted the troops. Keep going.
Let me be clear.
Because maggots on the 6th had declared that they were going to attack capitals all over the country.
What
I just showed you that video.
Witnessed in our nation's capital was an undemocratic and unconscionable assault on our republic and the freedoms upon which our nation was founded. California will take every necessary measure to protect public safety and our democratic principles and to ensure that those disgraceful actions are not repeated.
Right.
It's really, I mean, they're so busted. They're so caught.
No, asshole. He gets to call up the National Guard. He's the governor of the fucking state, stupid.
He doesn't want the National Guard now.
Right, because we don't fucking need it.
But let's see. Let's review. Where the hell was January 6th, right? Take a look at my trusty map over here. January 6th was, I believe, in this area, right? Virginia, Maryland, Washington, D.C., right about there. Gavin lives over here. Sacramento, I think he has a place in Tahoe, right? So what the hell did he need National Guard troops when the stuff was going on here, but it wasn't that bad, and he wanted the troops here, right? And he doesn't.
Oh, my God. Try harder.
Want the troops for this horrible riot / burn whatever. It's
this horrible riot / burn whatever. Same 3 cars.
Bad scene. And he says he's saying he does not want. It's just. I think they're finished. I think they are finished.
Yeah, I think you're wrong.
It's going to be a slow death, but it's unofficially over.
It's officially, unofficially over, and it's over in a slow way. It's going to take a while, but I think it's over now.
And then
God.
MAGA. What is the future for MAGA? I think MAGA will ultimately splinter, but it's not as bad as it sounds.
I don't know where this came from. Okay.
Actually,
don't threaten me with a good time.
2 parties, both within MAGA.
There's going to be 2 parties, both within MAGA.
There's real potential there.
Yes. Potential for what? A civil war? What the fuck? Where did that come from? Oh, God. Okay. Can I say something respectfully and lovingly to all my dear friends out there? all the fuck the police, fuck ICE, fuck the National Guard, all that shit, when people are being sent there under due orders like they're supposed to. If you care about due process for people like Kilmar Obrego Garcia, you also have to care about due process in that police deploy where they're told to go. And if you had a regular order where they can go, I just don't feel like this is something we should fight for, and you could pull people from this because they're like, I disagree with what the government is doing, then you could do it with the, I'm not going to protect the gay pride parade. Do you understand what I'm saying? Don't get up, don't allow Trump to lay this off on ICE, the police, or the National Guard. It's all him. Every country in the world has immigration and customs enforcement. There is nothing wrong with having it. It's who's running that matters. And if you're pissed about how it is running, then you should have stood up against Trump when he was during the election. You knew this shit was coming, and yet, like, the idea that people could just kind of lay this on ICE or the cops or the National Guard is fucking lame. And it plays right into what Trump wants. It's all Trump. It matters who runs these organizations. You're not going to abolish ICE. You are never going to abolish ICE. You're just going to have a different organization because no country is not going to have immigration and customs enforcement. It's absurd. It matters who runs it. And our responsibility is to make sure that people are elected who run it properly. Getting rid of the organization would not, you know what, if you abolished ICE, Trump would just go, well, we don't have any enforcement body to do this. We'll just send the Marines everywhere. There is no sense in the abolish ICE thing. It's silly. And it's not going to happen. It is never going to happen. It's ridiculous. You want it run right. You want it run compassionately and intelligently. It's dipshittery. It's the same thing as like defund the police. Abolish Trump. There you go. That's a little bit better. Yeah, I DH Empress, I get what you're saying there, but I don't. You're wrong. It's wrong. It's silly. It's a bumper sticker that appeals to no one. ICE needs to be run properly and stay within its purview, and that means we need people running. We need people in office who run it properly. Blaming ICE is just taking pressure off of Trump. It's the same shit. Well, FEMA is another great example. Abolish ICE is the left-wing version of abolish FEMA. It's the same thing. Just telling you. Yeah, you don't have to agree with me. It doesn't. You're not going to move me on this. It's silly. It's absurd. Even the abolish movement on all of these things is always a dead end. It's silly. You're going to have immigration and customs enforcement. Do you believe we're not going to have people checking crates that come into the country for customs enforcement? Do you believe we shouldn't have customs enforcement? No. Okay. Do you believe that there shouldn't be some laws around immigration and that you will need a body that specifically does this? Have you ever experienced ICE? No. I'm a citizen. I know it. Well, that's not true. I've experienced the Chinese version. I can't go back to China because they'll either not let me in, or if I try to leave, they'll stop me. How they are taking citizens. I know, because of how they're run. They shouldn't be. No, not period. Silly. Absurd. Reform ICE, absolutely. But again, this is about electoral politics. It's about who you elect. We shouldn't even have to worry about how ICE is run. The Marines is absurd. That's exactly what I'm saying. Bye, DH Empress. So long. You're fine. I'm not involved in the social movement around politics. I want real material change. Yeah, I'm not interested. There are plenty of people who will carry that bucket of water for you. Yeah, it's an absurdity. You are going to have immigration and customs enforcement. The question is, who's going to run it? And if you have abdicated that responsibility and you didn't show up to vote, you're throwing shit, or other people didn't show up, then we have a responsibility to move those people back to the fold so that they're voting the right way, so that the people running that organization run it properly. Because every time a Republican comes in, they turn it into something it's not supposed to be. That's not ICE's fault. That's our fault. That's the voters' fault. My true colors, right? Because I want ICE run well. Silly, please. Shoo. Nonsense. I don't bounce people from my chat, but nothing's keeping you. No. And it's never going to happen. You're not going to do it. It's never going to occur. You can say it all you want to. It's a dead end. But one thing you do have control over. One thing you do have control over is who actually who's in office and controls these things. And if you ever acquiesce that power to someone else like Donald Trump, or you half-assed your vote or your support for Democrats in this, and you ended up helping Republicans get elected in this dumbass coin flip idea, then that's the responsibility that you bear. No, you meet with your brotherhood? What does that mean? Right, okay. ISIS created in 2003 and some sacred pillar of American society. Well, again, a lot of it had to do with, I would argue, probably post 9/11 kind of stuff. But that's a great example. So we will have, even if you abolish ICE as an organization, you're going to have immigration and customs enforcement. And if you have someone like Trump in office, let's just say you have immigration enforcement, and then you have customs enforcement, or you have immigration, some sort of, you separate the two, and you've got these things. You're still going to have, if you have a president like Trump in office, someone who will take advantage of immigration enforcement and turn it into something it isn't. So where is the responsibility? In what it's called? What the name of an organization is, the existence of immigration enforcement in any way, which is you're obviously going to have something. If you break it up into separate agencies, then you'll just have Trump misusing two agencies. Do you understand? It's who you elect that matters. Why are we entertaining people? I agree. Because some people, the language is more important than the idea. The jargon is more important than the impact in reality. They will fight over the words and attach themselves to the words more than they will attach themselves to getting the actual bills and legislation through, getting people elected who will carry this stuff out or hold the line against Republicans and the people who would dismantle these things. Right? Yeah, again, you might as well just be saying, abolish street signs. Because, again, you're going to have some sort of enforcement. If you elect the wrong people, they're going to misuse that, and they're going to take advantage of any, limitations or loopholes in it and do terrible things with it. So what matters, yes, you do need immigration enforcement, you need customs enforcement. Whether you need them together and ICE is one organization or two, it won't matter if you put evil people in charge. Or if you go, well, it's the lesser of two evils. It was a coin toss between Harris and Trump, so therefore, I don't know, I don't really care about this. And you step back, and then you end up yelling into the fucking wind in a way that will never, ever help anyone in a material way. It's like covering yourselves in learn CPR bumper stickers and walking around with those, and somebody's having a heart attack right in front of you, and you're like, I don't know CPR. I didn't learn it. Jesus Christ. That's what this is. It's all for show. Abolish racism and hypocrisy. I would love to. I think that would be fantastic. If you have a way of doing it, I'm all ears. Yes, abolish gravity. I think we're working on that. I think it's going to come in stages, yeah. Yes, Biden used ICE and you didn't see the shit show. Exactly. Same thing with Obama. You don't need to be, again, it's the user, not the tool. And it's so lazy to just throw around these things and fight for the meaning of, fight for the usage of the words, but not make any meaningful change. Because I'm telling you, like, if you divided them, ICE into two agencies, Trump would have two agencies he would make awful. Arguably, he kind of is, because customs enforcement is completely based on the tariff shit right now, which he is blowing up all over the place. Just check out the ports. Also, by the way, in customs enforcement, these are the folks that would be eliminating the fentanyl that's coming into the country that largely comes in through mail packages from China or from Mexico or from other places through the ports. That's what customs does most of the time. Most of the ICE guys that you're talking about aren't even customs enforcement. They're immigration enforcement. Trump is using this as a Reichstag fire. Trump's problem is that he does not have political support that Hitler had. Exactly. He does not. That's right. But again, if you buy into this, you give him exactly what he wants. There is no situation where you're not going to have some immigration enforcement and some customs enforcement. It's just silly. That's why it matters who you elect. That's why this lesser of two evils bullshit did so much damage in the last election cycle, and I would argue in the midterms while Biden was president. This is the damage that the lesser of two evils horseshit does. Other than that, I have no opinion. Okay, now, do I have time? Shit, there's so much stuff. Okay, I have no idea what this next one is, but I think we all have to check it out. This is a breather. Step aside. We'll look at this one for a second. This is just fucking, you want to talk about absurd? The fuck is going on here? Something exciting is coming. All right, from the desk of Glenn Beck. Who knows?
About a year ago, I'd say.
Don't care.
I started receiving in my prayers
oh dear. An angel that gave me a blowjob like Dan Aykroyd in Ghostbusters?
Feeling that something isn't right. And I tore myself apart. I looked at everything that I was doing. I looked at my business. I looked at how we were doing things.
And you changed nothing.
I looked at everything. And I couldn't make sense, of what
you do for a living. Neither can I, buddy. Look at that. Look, bridges being built. I don't understand what the fuck you're doing any more than you do.
This meant it was an overwhelming feeling, and then I realized, it's not just one thing that you're looking for. It's everything. Everything is wrong. Not meaning that we're doing something wrong. It just.
Sorry. You were praying during the middle of the election saying everything you are doing is wrong. You came to this conclusion during the campaign last year.
It means the time is over for many things.
Jesus, Mr. Bible speak.
Almost everything. It's going to.
The time is over for almost many things. It's like the idiot's version of Mormonism.
Change. Everything is going to change. And this goes to, if I get a little emotional here, it's not for any other reason than I've been soul searching now for a long time. And
oh my God, get on with it, you absolute wuss.
I'm looking, back at the things that you and I accomplished together. And it's amazing to me. When I first formulated what would become the Blaze.
Pronounced blase.
It was 2009, 2010, and Barack Obama was surrounding himself with the Marxist radicals, the people who were former revolutionaries,
That never goes well.
People that were Islamicists. You had Bill Ayers, Valerie Jarrett, Cass Sunstein, CARE, George Soros, Code Pink, Tides Foundation. Some of these names nobody had ever really heard of.
Yes, and we've long forgotten them because they didn't turn us into a Marxist utopia. Damn it!
And nobody knew anything about the Tides Foundation.
Nobody cares.
But we did our homework and we exposed it. One of the names that we exposed back then was Ron Gochez. And
oh yeah, Ron. Remember the Ron? I remember that. I remember the Ron Gochez story. It was terrifying. Who's Ron Gochez?
He said, "Look at this guy. He is a
Ron Gochez. I think I know him.
Teacher. He is part of a revolutionary communist group. This is going to play into trouble here soon."
Oh no.
As I
and then Trump became president, and you were like, see?
As I stood in front of those chalkboards and said, watch how the socialists, the communists, the Islamists, and the anarchists are going to work together, not because they love each other, but
no, because it's a dirty, filthy, painful kind of a love.
Because they share a common enemy, the West.
Yes, because common enemy. Dryer sheets, no.
They're going to come together, and this Ron Gochez,
it's pronounced goat cheese,
mentioned back in 2009 or 10, and we went back to the archives, and he
okay, hold the fuck on. Well, this started out like some sort of, he was like, pardon me if I get emotional, and then it goes into this fucking weird rant about old shows that didn't chart ratings-wise that he did. I spent weeks in front of these goddamn chalkboards and nobody gives a fuck.
Part of what's happening in Los Angeles right now.
Oh, God.
All of these things are coming true. And I
no, they're not.
Said Israel would be the first target, then Europe, and then the violence would cascade.
The other way around. Russia attacked Ukraine, and then the Israel thing happened. Although you could argue that the Israel thing has just been happening in a loop forever.
And come here to America. And when I laid that out, not a single voice in mainstream media, not left or right, no one took that seriously. No one.
Yes, well, it's a habit. We all have we habitually don't take you seriously, Glenn. And that's not going to change.
Engaged with that. Not one single host, not one outlet.
Sons of bitches.
No one.
No one.
Wait a minute, Glenn.
Wait a minute.
Not one. Is there any truth in that? What is your evidence? Can you show me the evidence? Let me look at this and see what I come up with. It was like screaming in a hurricane while standing completely alone. Now
which is now the name of that violin piece. Screaming in a hurricane while standing completely alone.
Keep in mind, this is a time before podcasts meant anything. This is before Rumble. This is before Substack. This is while Netflix was still mailing movies to people. Before there was a serious media personality.
He wrote this.
Making any kind of impact online because they weren't online. I left Fox to start the Blaze. And
it's pronounced blase.
The day I did, somebody I really respected looked at me in the eye and said, "You're not seriously going to do that online thing, are you? I mean, that's ridiculous. That's a fad." Now,
they said fad. I'm sure they did. You know what? Sad when they call it a fad.
It's funny just a few short years later how no one said that when Tucker Carlson left or when Megyn Kelly left. No one.
Yes, they did. They absolutely did. Tucker Carlson is now hawking his own nicotine packs or whatever. It's absurd. Megyn Kelly is having fucking vodka with like other hosts bitching about the news. Yes, they did, and they were right.
Called it a fad then. They took it seriously because it had become serious. But when I did it, everybody said my career was over. And honestly, there were many nights that in the middle of the night, in the dark and alone and quiet, I believed that might be possible as well.
But enough about last night.
But I believed in this.
I thought Hal was playing the music to make fun of Glenn. I was.
Because my goal was really simple, to
in deference to everyone who works at the Blase and the viewers.
Break the barriers to disrupt
the
mainstream media.
Disrupt.
And create a safe haven, not just a single place where
voices... Or also known as a safe space.
Could be heard, or just a single platform for those who, had spent their entire lives working to tell the truth, but then ended up in the network system and were forced to play ball with the corporate media and big government, and they couldn't.
With their balls.
What I wanted to start was a movement.
And a laxative just wouldn't do.
And all that usually requires is one person to roll the dice and show others it can be done, and then others will do.
And other people I could do this better, actually. Look at this. We just took basically what the Blaze is doing, but did it well. We could be Newsmax, right? I see.
And that's what happened.
It did.
I mean, look at the army of truth tellers that have risen now.
Oh, shit. All right. Okay. All right. I just realized what this is. Sorry. This is a pitch for subscriptions, isn't it? This is him using the kind of religious speak to get people to sign up for Blaze Plus or some shit, isn't it? Or Gold. It's probably just Blaze Plus. Shit. Oh, man. Okay. Let's see.
The Blaze. You've got Allie Beth Stuckey, Steve Dace, Nicole.
Yeah, there he goes. He's selling who's on.
Shanahan. You know, our Department of Defense, Pete Hegseth, you know he started at the Blaze? There's so many people that started at the Blaze.
So it's your fault.
You have the Daily Wire, Megyn Kelly, Joe Rogan, the Daily Caller, Tucker, Sean Ryan, Barry Weiss.
Yes, we know your field is completely inundated. You are swamped by competitors.
A Republican, all hundreds of independent creators, journalists, whistleblowers, citizen investigators, all standing.
And other phrases.
Where there was nothing but silence.
Well, if you don't count like all of AM radio and Fox News, which has had the #1 spot in cable news ever since Rupert Murdoch bought the Nielsen rating service and moved it overseas so that nobody could look.
Remember, the last election was not won by corporate debates, but by that fad called the internet and podcasts.
Uh-huh. So you owe us, fuckwad. That's what you're saying.
And to every single person, I meet them every day.
I do, and I hate it. I try to stay indoors.
People say, I was one of the first subscribers of The Blaze.
And they can't all be telling the truth.
For every person who...
That, by the way, those are called employees, Greg. And they all need an account to be on the station, so...
Who helped build this thing, thank you. From the bottom of my heart.
And goodbye.
Thank you. And let me just say to you, mission accomplished.
Oh, shit. That bad, huh?
You know, I used to say, this is the network that you are building. Let me just proudly say this to you today. Look at what you have built.
Yeah, this is your fault.
Now, I want to make this really clear.
Well, why start now?
This is not an ending of anything.
Oh, thank God. I was so worried. Actually, I wasn't.
I am not done. There's all kinds of speculation, with friends and people I work with, et cetera, et cetera. It's not an ending. It's not even close.
Damn it. I was hoping he was going to quit today. Shit. Pull back and let Pat Gray take over. It can't be worse.
And it's not an ending for me. It's not an ending for the Blaze. I know some of their plans. I know what they're working on. And the Blaze is going to...
They're
continue to grow and expand just as I will. This is an expansion of the mission, our missions. Just today, I'm announcing a new chapter for me. And it's not a departure from the mission at the Blaze, but an...
Oh, rats. I was hoping it was a departure. Please depart.
Expansion of it, because while we have cracked the back, I think, of the corporate media...
You by no means have. You're ridiculous. The Blaze does not, chomp at the heels of CNN or MSNBC or Fox or any of these. You silly, silly man.
There's another system that is just as broken, just as corrupted, just as dangerous, and that is education. And it is my mission now,
to make it worse?
Now, I believe in the next chapter of my life to do for American education what we did to legacy media.
Oh, God. He's going to start Beck University. Oh, no. Sign me up.
And what I am building is not a new news network. It's not Blaze 2.0. The Blaze is the Blaze.
Blase. It's pronounced Blase. Thank you. It's the Blase University. I don't know if I'll go. Does anybody really care?
The Glenn Beck radio program will still continue stronger than ever. All of this...
I don't think that's true.
Stuff remains the same. The Blaze will remain fearless and unshakable, but what I'm building is something new, an expansion. It is a mission designed to spark a renaissance.
Okay, he wrote this with AI. He's basically saying, wow, I could start a whole organization and run it on AI, make all this money, and I don't even have to do anything.
In how we teach and understand American history and civics and faith and service. And let me tell you.
So I created my own large language model that is a cross between Jesus and John Wayne, and it tells only history from the early 1800s.
To everything there is a season, and we are ready. Since 2008, I have been quietly collecting rare documents and artifacts that tell...
Jesus Christ. Oh, God. He's going to open a museum.
The true story of America, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because we have
that. It's called the Smithsonian. Just tell... You got Trump on speed dial. Tell him not to fuck it up.
We have to have a place where we can find honest history, unfiltered, raw, based on their own words. And in partnership with David Barton and Wall Builders, we now hold the largest private collection of early American founding documents in the world. From the Pilgrims to about 1830, there's nobody bigger. I should say, Library of Congress and the National Archives hold.
Right, yeah. You're just collecting like people's notebooks and shit like that from the 1800s and the 1700s.
More, okay. But as private, we're the biggest. And for the last 3 years, we have been busy digitizing all of it, preserving it, and building systems and tools where you can access it directly.
For a fee.
No gatekeepers, no ivory tower historians.
Just a small monthly fee.
You know, rewriting our past, just you, the truth, and history that speaks for itself.
On a subscription basis.
Largely, this has been a private collection and not open to the public. That is going to change very soon. And part of that, along with other things that I am building, I have hired a team that is working literally day and night. One team on this side of the planet, another team on the other side of the planet.
Yeah, he hired a bunch of Indian assistants to pay them a skeleton wage. Mm-hmm.
So we don't stop working. It just goes from one hand to the other hand. So we're working 24/7 because there's not a lot of time.
Yeah, he's trying to get this all ready for the rapture when it won't matter.
And, you know, nobody's sleeping now. And we're all working towards one.
Well, from your reasoning, I would guess that.
One goal. Putting this collection and so much more into...
And so much more.
...your hands. What I'm going to unveil here in the next few months, I hope will blow your mind.
It will not. I'm just calling it Jesus.
And yet...
I know, Paul. I'm like, I don't know where the fuck this is going.
What I will show you in the next few months is it's like a lottery ticket, just scratching off just a little bit of the surface to reveal...
That you didn't win anything?
You know, what's there. And it's deep.
Sure.
But that is my next battle.
What? You versus reality?
And I'd like you to enlist you in helping.
Oh, here comes the sales pitch.
Something big is coming on both sides. But
of what?
I don't want to be a revolutionary. I don't want...
You won't be. Don't worry. We're not. No one's worried about that. Get to the fucking point.
To be battling on the streets. We need to win heart.
Dude, please go battle on the streets. It would end the fight immediately.
And minds. Because what's coming is historic. And just like with the Blaze, it doesn't belong to me. It won't belong to me in the end. It'll belong to you.
That's right. I don't believe in private property anymore. I've been eaten up by the Great Reset.
And this is, I hope, a movement to rekindle curiosity, restore critical thinking.
Reading again.
Reignite belief in something higher.
I'm dying here.
Than the chaos in our streets. You know, as I'm wearing my No Kings But Christ t-shirt that has been a personal thing of mine for years and years, but I just decided to release them. And
fuck off. No King But Christ. You Trump suck. Pass.
That's what the founders were all about. No king but Christ. I answer to Christ. If they're...
And does he hang up on you? I'm guessing
just doing a no kings thing. Who do you answer to?
Monty Hall. No, shit. I'm going to go with Paul Lynn.
If you want to be a part of this movement from day one and be the first to know all of the information, I would urge you to go to glennbeck.com.
Nope, not going to happen.
If you haven't signed up for my free email newsletter, please.
I don't. I have enough junk mail.
Sign up because I'm going to need you to help me.
I'm going to need you to shut the fuck up eventually.
Build something new. Not a network. I don't even know. This is the blank that you are building. I don't know what it actually.
Oh my God! This is like the last season of Lost. You didn't even know what something exciting is coming. I have no idea what it is. I bought a bunch of shit. I got to do something with it. Otherwise, it's just taking up a lot of hard drive space. I got to find some way to monetize this dipshittery.
Would be categorized as, because it's something entirely new. But I hope, just like we can now with the Blaze.
I would just call it a. But
stand back and admire and say, my gosh, what a difference.
Look at us that we have built. My God.
Our work has made. Because if Los Angeles is teaching us anything, and
it's that shit like this happens all the time and then it goes away.
Anything at all. It's that the world that
This is prepper edging. Who called it prepper edging in the chat room? That killed me. Boo, bitchcraft 666. Prepper edging. Like, I'm almost in the fucking tunnels.
I have been fearing and pointing out was coming is here. And if history teaches us anything, it's that ordinary people led by truth.
Oh, I'm not even going to let him finish it. Fuck that. Oh, my God. That was painful. Hold on. Wait, there's so much. Oh, God damn it. Here, okay, real quick. We're not going to be able to cover all these things. I'm going to bum rush a bunch of these things because we got to get it. Because that was, prepper no fap. Yeah, it's a no fap November in June. Holy hell. Hit the like, share the show. Help me out of this. Good God. All right, here we go. So this is the untold story of the big, beautiful bill. Is Charlie Kirk still MAGA?
Here live at the Bitcoin.com studio. That is the Bitcoin.com studio. Joining.
Yes, the currency for human traffickers.
This now is an old
and drug dealers and gun runners.
Friend and a great patriot. We might not agree on everything, but boy, he is incredibly principled, and for that, I deeply admire him. It is Senator Rand Paul from the great state of Kentucky. Senator, great to see you today. Thank you for the time.
The world's most well-known carpetbagger.
Hey.
Also, I know people are reacting to his hair.
Oh, nice marmot.
But it seems particularly marmoty today.
Charlie, thanks for having me.
So, Senator, the news of the day is that in some ways you found yourself on the other side of this big, beautiful bill from the White House.
And on the same side as Elon Musk, if he has a side at all, because he's come crawling back, but not quite, and we don't know when blah, blah, blah.
You know, I've heard a lot of the feedback from yourself and from Senator Ron Johnson, and I totally agree that we need to get closer to a balanced budget, and just this addiction to spending must end. Simultaneously, there's some really
simultaneously, that's a way to get around saying but.
Points that were made by the White House. We had a long conversation with Stephen Miller. I wanted to give you a fair amount of time to make your case. Where do you currently stand on the big, beautiful bill, and what would potentially get you to a yes?
You know, I support quite a bit of what's in the bill. The tax cuts is the primary aspect of the bill. I voted for them in 2017. I support making them permanent. I accept the argument that if you lower tax rates, sometimes you get more revenue. This is what Art Laffer argued
sometimes
in the 1980s and still argues. So I'm fine with the tax cut as is.
Yes, the Laffer curve, voodoo economics.
I'm adding to the tax cuts as President Trump wishes. So I'm fine with that aspect of the bill. And that's a big bulk of the bill that will lead to growth. It's what led to low unemployment rates in the first administration and really was a great boon to our country. The second part of it, there are some spending cuts. I think many of these spending.
Here's Ron Johnson with, he's just taken the pages out of the bill that he has a problem with.
Cuts are good. I think a lot of them are in the outlying years and may or may not happen. Some
Friday Joe, you were absolutely right about Beck.
of them are fake, such as forgiving the student loan forgiveness program or ending the student loan forgiveness program, which the courts have already ended. So it's sort of saying, oh, we're going to save money by something Biden was going to do, but the courts have said he couldn't do. It's not a real savings.
Ah, you don't say, which is key to the entire bill. There's a bunch of things in there that either were never going to happen, are never going to happen now, or have already sunsetted, or Biden already stopped, that they want to count as savings that they want to use to justify this, the tax break, the tax cut. Assholes. Never going to, I mean, this is the same thing Doge is doing with its fake cuts.
We know that the bill will add probably, even if you say the taxes don't add to the debt, which I accept, the bill in the first years has $400 billion worth of new spending on border and also on military. So we know in the first couple of years there will be an addition to the deficit. It may be made up in the later years, but that is yet to be determined. But none of that really is my objection to the bill. Those are minor things, and I actually could vote for it as is, even as imperfect as it is. I could vote for it, but I can't vote to raise the debt ceiling $5 trillion. And the reason is this.
Because they'll spend it.
The debt this year is going to be over $2 trillion, $2.2 trillion. And people say, oh, that's Biden's fault. Well, it was Biden's fault until March of this year when the Republicans, not me, but most of the Republicans voted to continue the Biden spending levels in a continuing resolution in March.
Thanks, Chuck Schumer.
March of 2025. That's what we live under now are the GOP spending levels, minus me and a few others. So that year ends at the end of September. The debt will be $2.2 trillion this year. That's all on the Republicans. If Republicans also vote to extend the debt ceiling by $5 trillion, then really we lose the power of the argument in our moral standing in saying this is a bunch
oh, that's adorable.
of Democrat problems. Democrats are deficit and spend, big spenders. It's not Republicans if the deficit now is completely owned by Republicans. So I've
Yep, and if it goes up under Republicans, as it's going to do.
offered the opposite. I have said that rather than give Congress, which is reckless with spending and has no good history other than adding $36 trillion to the debt, don't give them a debt ceiling that lasts 2 years. Don't give them $5 trillion worth because they will spend it and they will borrow it. Give them 3 months worth. So I've offered this
Yeah, that'll work.
as an amendment, and I would accept it and vote for it if it were part of the bill.
Wait, you would, hold on. Whoa, this is breaking news. You would accept and vote for your own amendment. Cool story, bro.
3 months is an extraordinary amount, though, $500 billion. And you say, well, it's inconvenient to keep voting on it. Well, yeah, it's also inconvenient to borrow $36 trillion and have $1 trillion in interest. So I'd make them.
Yeah, but Trump wants this to go away. He wants a giant blank check and for you not to matter. He wants Charlie Kirk not to matter. He wants the entire Republican Senate and House to not matter. He wants $5 trillion to spend as he sees fit in any direction he does, because if you can push the debt ceiling up automatically $5 trillion, you can just he could just use it as a giant slush fund. That's exactly what this is for, asshole.
Address the issue. So in 3 months, let's say we gave him 3 months worth of borrowing potential, $500 billion. It'd expire
This will never fucking happen.
about the end of September. What comes at the end of September? Another big, beautiful bill to fund the government. It's going to be an omnibus or a continuing resolution. It'll be all the bills crammed together. It's a terrible way to run government. But then we would ask them at that point, all right, you promised us you were going to do better. And once again, this isn't an accusation against the president. This is an accusation against GOP leadership on both sides.
Sorry, GOP leadership on both sides?
I'm saying I don't.
This goes back to the Greg Kelly thing. Greg Kelly is calling it. There's a rift in MAGA, in the GOP, that is irreconcilable, it seems.
Believe them or trust them. So in 3 months, we'd get another bite at the apple and we'd say, all right, what have you done?
Yeah, you can fuck around 3 months from now. Jesus Christ. It's the same shit with the tariffs. You just want to punt. You know you can't get your shit passed. So you want these, like, let's just, just pull fucking paper towels out of the dispenser until we run out. And we'll just pretend it will never end. And we'll just, if we do it in short order, instead of going, how many do we actually have in there? Okay, we're going to need to borrow some more because we're going to run out. We know how many we're going to need over the next year. So instead of living like fucking adults and knowing how to pay your bills or create a budget, you just want to like slowly eat this shit out.
They would say, oh, we're going to do it next time. And that's what they say. Right now, from Speaker Johnson, we hear he's going to be conservative after the 2026 elections. The Senate has made it not just $4 trillion in borrowing, they want to do $5 trillion in borrowing, and they've explicitly told us it's to get through the 2026 elections without talking about the debt. All of these things where conservatives would oppose, but now because they support the president so much, they're willing to look the other way. I like the president. I like him personally. I was his biggest defender against 2 impeachments. We'll do it again. I've supported his nomination.
Yes, we will, because he's going to get impeached. Yeah.
But I'm just not going to go against all principle to support $5 trillion in borrowing because I don't know who we would be or where we would be of a movement if nobody opposes this.
You know about Patriot Mobile and what?
Oh, shit. It goes right into the ad. I want to see his response to a little bit of this, and then we'll bug out.
So part of the problem, and I agree with a lot of what you said, Senator, is that
I think the worst thing about Patriot Mobile is all the Lee Greenwood ringtones.
The counter argument is that we don't have the votes in the House or the Senate to do this. The moderates will not play ball with any dramatic spending adjustments, and we have to play with a very slim majority. I imagine your counter argument.
I'm sorry, a what? I thought you guys had a mandate, a clear mandate after the election. Huge mandate.
Argument is that, hey, maybe it's time for those of us that are fiscal conservatives start wielding the same power that these moderates wield. What would your reply be to the fact that it might not be possible in this reconciliation bill to get some of the demands that you are articulating?
Right. And I'm not looking for hundreds or dozens of demands. I'm looking for one. Separate out the debt ceiling and put it in a different...
Yeah, the one that will pay for all the stuff that they want to do. Jesus. I only want one, look, we're going to negotiate this. Jesus.
Bill, and I can vote.
Well, I only have one. There's only one difference between me and you. I think you shouldn't be alive, and you don't care whether I am or not. So that's just the split between the two of these things, So it's just, why don't we just flip a coin on it, see who gets shot?
For this.
So stupid.
It's still unknown whether there are enough of us. I think the counting and the tally depends on who has the courage to say no. If there were 4 conservatives in the House or 4 conservatives in the Senate who would say no to the debt ceiling, it would be taken off in a heartbeat. They would just negotiate. They're not negotiating because...
They can't, though. No, they wouldn't just do it and just negotiate and that would be over. For fuck's sake, man, if you take it out, he can't pay for the stuff he wants to do. And it's all spend. You can't take that part out without taking out all the spending, or you're like, it's just stupid. Like this, it's bizarre. Like there's no way to do the spending he wants to do for the military alone, unless they raise the debt ceiling. So they either have to do that now or in September, and he wants to do it now. And if they're never going to be able to do it in fucking September, like this is so stupid.
It's mostly me at this point. Now, Ron Johnson has expressed some of the same concerns on the spending and maybe a little bit on the debt ceiling as well. But there aren't 4 at this point, so they will not negotiate. In fact, they've chosen really to go full bore campaign mode against me. So they aren't really caring at all about whether or not I ever cooperate with the White House again, because they've chosen to smear and lie about me throughout all the social media outlets by paying these influencers to attack me. But I don't think, if they know me at all, they apparently have misjudged me to think that somehow spreading lies about me and pillaring me will somehow cause me to be chastened and, lick the boot. So I'm not going to do that.
No.
And I think what you'll find is that over time, people are going to discover that the debt keeps going. The debt is going to go on, and it's going to get worse, and there's going to be a crisis in this country.
The debt goes on and on and on and on. The debt goes on and on. debt goes on and on and on and on and on. You know, the debt will go on. There's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can say or sing that will stop it and keep it from flying away. The debt goes on. The debt goes on. And on and on and on. The debt goes on. Sorry, that was wrong of me. That was so wrong. I shouldn't mock Rand Paul's bullshittery in that way. I apologize.
Be a remnant of conservatives who actually still are fiscally conservative and can argue from that position.
So the argument against the debt, and correct me if I'm wrong, Senator, is that if we peel out the debt ceiling, then potentially it would need 60 votes as a standalone vote, and it would give a lot more power to Chuck Schumer to then we'd have other concessions and other liberal boondoggle wishes or aims. Is that true?
There's no history of Democrats ever voting against a debt ceiling. They always vote for the debt ceiling. They love and enjoy debt. The modern monetary theory they talk so much about.
Oh, come on, man. Pull that thread.
It's just spend, spend, spend. They know it has to go up. Many of them, Elizabeth Warren agrees with President Trump. She'd like to have no debt ceiling, but she will always vote to raise it. And so if you put a bill on the floor and you said, this is it, it's either this or default, are you going to vote to raise the debt ceiling? They all will. And they'll vote for any amount, too.
By the way, that's not this bill. That's September. That's not this bill. You don't have to, the default doesn't come if you don't raise the debt ceiling here. It's in September. So again, that's why he wants to punt it 3 months. Wrong.
For 10 trillion. If they want to do 10 trillion and we can go through the whole term, the whole next term of President Trump and never have to borrow again, Democrats will all vote for that. And people say, oh, no, they don't like Donald Trump. They won't do it. Well, they voted to raise the debt ceiling in his first term. And historically, the debt ceiling has gone up.
Yeah, but we were also in charge of the House, I think, at that point.
I don't know, maybe 100.
We had control over how it was being spent. And he wasn't deploying the fucking Marines to an American city.
Times in the last, maybe not 100 times, let's say 50 times in the last 30 years. Each time it's gone up, it's been all the Democrats vote for it every time, and it's been the big government Republicans. But to me, raising the debt ceiling is a day of shame, and they walk down to the front of the floor of the Senate or to the well of the House, and they have to admit that they are the big spenders. So the big spenders on the Republican side always vote to raise the debt ceiling.
Which is, again, like all the reason why Democrats don't have to vote for it at all. They could just, because the CR is continuing right now till September. They don't need this bill. They're not worried about the taxes going back up to where they were.
And the Democrats. But now you're going to change the dynamic where it's going to be all Republicans voting for raise the debt ceiling. And what you'll wind up with is no Republicans left who can argue with a straight face that it's the Democrats' fault because they.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks. Yes. Yeah, that's exactly how it should go. Thank you for just basically handing that win to Chuck and to Hakeem Jeffries. Yeah, that's precisely how this will go and should go.
They will own the debt. From now on.
Yeah, Democrats can heal some of this stuff if these guys throw themselves over this barrel and pass this thing. When everybody bitches about how fast the debt is going up, Democrats can come in and reform all of it, and Republicans will have to vote because it's a problem of their own making.
The Republicans will own the debt and have no argument against Democrats being the big spenders.
Yeah. And fuck you. I'm okay with that.
Because they will own the debt. I think it's more worrisome than people can imagine.
I'm not worried.
Unless they've really thought this through.
So a couple minutes remaining here, Senator, and I agree. I believe the national debt is a crisis to our country. Would you agree that the invasion under Joe Biden, the immigration we've seen, is also a national crisis facing America?
Yeah, I guess if you scoop out all the people who are working under the table and weren't making a living wage, that were providing goods and services to the American people, and those people leave and have to be replaced with workers who expect a living wage and benefits and some sort of upwardly mobile trajectory within the business that they're working in, which will drive up the price of everything and increase inflation inexorably, and sort of in lockstep with what happened to Japan in the early 90s. Sure, I guess that sounds, knock yourself out.
Yep.
And so where would you rank that and balance that between this big beautiful bill and the fiscal concerns?
I think you can both. I think you can do both. So I'm against the 8 million people or so that Biden letting come in the country. I'm against open borders. I think we should do more than we have been doing.
Yep, there's all 8 million of them. Don't let them fool you that that's just one guy. That's an optical illusion.
But
there's 8 million people there, and one ICE dude handling them all by himself because they don't have the funding.
I can't just quit being a fiscal conservative because you said, well, the border needs more security. It does. So I'll give you a very specific example. They said to us, we want to fence the remaining 1,000 miles of the southern border. President Trump and others have fenced about, probably 700 miles or so. So there's about 1,200 left. A lot of it's mountains, so you might be able to fence 1,000 more. The Border Patrol website says it costs $6.5 million per mile. You multiply that by 1,000 and you get $6.5 billion. Well, the bill is asking for $46.5 billion. So what are they going to do? Build a wall between us and Canada too? I mean, you ought to at least
probably
have to justify your numbers.
Well, yeah, Lucius, it says fence, question mark, that, yeah. The reason they're going to do a fence is because when they build a wall, they actually build an access road on the Mexican side. I pointed this out many times. On the Mexican side of the border, you have to flatten the land out, which makes it easier to find, to walk down it till you find a gap or a tunnel and go underneath it. Whereas before you had to climb, rough terrain to get over it. And if they just put fencing up, it's way harder to get through, especially if it's particularly high and hard to climb, and they can monitor it, and if they have electrical wire running through it so they can see if anybody tries to cut it, blah, blah, blah. But if you try to make a wall all along that thing, you also create access points because you can't monitor all of it all the time. It's so fucking stupid. Yeah, we should have, VJ Kodak, exactly right. They should have signed the border bill when they had the chance.
There's been no justification. Everybody says, you're not the president, be quiet, we didn't elect you, all this crazy stuff on the internet. And it's like, well, somebody shouldn't push back and do the math and say,
nope, you're not allowed. This is this dude is a king, and he and the land are one. You don't get a say in this, dumb fuck. You flushed democracy down the goddamn toilet when you supported him at all. So everybody on that side who's pissed off that they're catching hell from maggots online because they don't walk in lockstep with the president, I got news for you. Nobody voted for leadership from Trump. They want him to be a monarch.
Well, it doesn't add up. You want $46 billion, and we're getting $6.5 billion on this thing. And so, yeah, we should do the math on this. They want to hire 8,000 new agents. I'm saying hire 4,000 new agents. I'm saying let's get started and not have a permanent army of people sitting around. The border's been largely controlled by the president by sheer willpower, and I give him all.
Not by sheer willpower. It's unfunded. They're using emergency financing to do it. That's why you need to pass a bill. He didn't do it by sheer willpower. He appropriated other funds from other areas to pay for National Guard and military troops at the border. Jesus Christ.
All the credit. He came in, and by sheer willpower and various threats and bullying of other countries, he's controlled the border. It shows that it could have been done under Biden, and he never did it. But now that it's controlled, shouldn't we at least think about the cost and not...
Sorry, no. You have not paid for it yet. This is emergency funding. Unless it's in there, you can't have any of this. If the control by the way, if this wall requires people watching it all the fucking time, what was the point of the wall in the first place?
Say, oh, we're conservative, except when it comes to the border when we're for unlimited spending. Same with the military. The military has been evading its caps for a long time. It went up 3% last year. They added some more on. Now they want to add 150.
Oh, did you just call Charlie Kirk a moron?
I heard it. The untold story of this bill is this big, beautiful bill is a secret plot by Lindsey Graham and others to explode the military caps. They just want more military money. They want more tanks. They want more play. They want everything to please. So
does Trump. What are you talking about?
The military-industrial complex. And I think this is the untold story of this bill.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Yep. There is No end in sight to the fighting about this. And I told you guys that if for every 10 votes they gain on one side of an issue, they lose 20 on the other side. And that's what this shuffle is all about. Can we dip into one more thing before I go? Because it's we haven't seen this dude in a while. And largely it's because I try to keep the number of rapists on the channel to a bare minimum. And since we have to cover Trump all the time, we're always over quota. But this motherfucker, their next move is terrifying. This is terrifying, which I guess would be their next move. Live facial recognition. I don't know what, well, I mean, I guess you could do post facial recognition, the Brit card wallet.
This is where technology, like digital ID, becomes critical.
How do we force people to carry digital ID? COVID? Tried that. Climate change? Maybe. Migration. Welcome to the Brit card. Welcome to 1984.
Also, what the fuck are you talking about? My God, man. Like, do you have any idea how much stuff is... Like, I got my Real ID today. Having that on my phone, or being able to use my face scan on my phone to open the thing, I trust it to keep my data private on my phone with my facial scan, right? The idea that you could, and I'm not sure if California and Nevada allow for it or whatever, but you can now, like your phone can scan your driver's license, and you can go through TSA in some cases using Real ID on your phone because the security on it and the verification on it is so precise. But right now, if you have TSA pre or whatever, like you give them your ID when you walk through, and they know what plane you're going to be on because they've got the manifest and the ticket, list for everybody who's going to be on there before you get on the plane, because they get it from the company, of course. And you walk up, you give them your ID. You don't even give your ticket anymore, and they scan your face. You just take a picture, and that's because if you had somebody there who could remember who you were, and you're like, hey, what's happening, Sam? Come on in. You'd be totally fine with that. But there's so many people, it's impossible. So they have a machine that does it. That's it. If you don't want to deal with that, take a fucking bus. Nobody cares. You can take a Greyhound, and they don't do any of that shit. It's really a convenience feature. But the idea that in 2025 we're not going to have this is just silly. Also, I don't know about the UK digital ID, what they're doing, but largely it's just being able to put your ID on your phone.
Hello there, you Awakening Wonders. Remember, we stream Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at these times, a variety of fantastic...
Yeah, Friday's my raping day.
...shows, and if you don't have Rumble Premium yet, get Rumble Premium now while you are still free.
What? Yeah, get it. It's not free. I want you to know that. Rumble Premium is not free. You have to pay for it.
You should support a platform that stands up for free speech.
Well, then why would I be on Rumble?
Let me tell you, the day is coming where if you're from the UK, you will be forced to carry digital ID.
You're not forced to carry an ID now, or you don't have to have an ID on you now in England? What's the difference between it being digital?
We're going to do that when we're so cynical about government authority and government power after we saw during the pandemic that we absolutely can't trust them. Well,
what do you mean you absolutely can't trust them? You're fucking alive, aren't you?
Call it a Brit card and claim that it's an anti-migration measure. It's extraordinary the lengths and degree to which deception will be deployed in order to create obedience and compliance. And if they'll do it in the UK...
Honest to God, it just looks like you can put your driver's license or your passport on your phone. You don't have to have an ID on you in America. You don't. You have to identify yourself if you're asked by a law enforcement official and they have a reason for it. But if you have a driver's license or a passport, if you're traveling, you absolutely do. And that's what they're talking about. This whole, it's about migration or whatever. I think that probably the rules might be similar when you have it on your phone, whether they can ask to see it or not. You can not do that. They have a thing in England. It's very distinct. And if you ever watch, Luther, big fan of Luther. Great show. Chat room. Fans of Luther. Have you seen the Luther show? Idris Elba's show. It's terrific. The series and the movie that they did on Netflix, primo, excellent. But in that, they say you have the right to remain silent, but anything you say, and anything you say can be used against you. But if you are found to have been withholding anything later, that could be used against you. So you don't get absolute, the ability to, the full right to remain silent. If they find out later that you knew something and you didn't say it when you had the chance, that can be held against you in court. It's different than it is here, okay? They're also subjects of the crown. This is not a democracy. Even though they play at it with their parliamentary system and they tiptoe around this, it's still a monarchy. So everything about it can be established by the crown. And if you don't want that anymore, don't be a fucking monarchy. And that's why we have different rights here than they do. Yes, insanely good show. I agree. Brutal though. The stuff with his wife, both in the beginning of the series and then I think it was season 3 or 4. Woof. Yeah, it's sort of like perjury, I guess, but it's similar to if you had information at the time about something and you didn't give it, if you could have told them, and this is similar to, if you find out that you hid the truth and you got found guilty and then they are sentencing you and they go, we will sentence you harder because you could have just copped to it, right? It's a fair cop. Right. The reason UK did not do that with their right to remain silent is the mobs. Right. Well, I mean, there's reasons. That would be a good thing in terms of Rico. Idris Elba is really good. He's fantastic. And he's so good in that show. Yeah. So they don't have the fifth like we do. They just don't. Okay. Back to whatever this dipshit is talking about.
Okay, how can you be sure they won't do it in the United States of America? What ways will they leverage in order to maximize control? Presumably, they will refer back to the forefathers of the imperialist globalist movement, and one Nosferatu-like elder stands simpering and slithering.
What the fuck are you on about?
Above all else, like a Harry Potter character.
Yeah, exactly like a Harry Potter character, which, I mean, I do feel like you seem to be like a Harry Potter character rejected from draft 1.
Like a kind of Voldemort of global politics, Tony B. Liar, Tony Blair, that extraordinary cohort of George W. Bush when it came to the massacre of children in Iraq is back.
We cannot continue with business as usual, and change is inevitable. This is where technology, like digital ID, becomes critical. My institute's own analysis.
Oh, have you got an institute for us? Thank you for going to so much trouble. If you're English, like I am, you'll have so many recollections of Tony Blair turning up on your television set and telling you how to feel about things. Princess Diana has died.
Our thoughts and prayers are with Princess Diana's family.
She was the people's princess. Yeah? Who killed her? We're going to be going to...
Jesus Christ. Let me make a point that's kind of bigger than what's happening with whatever the fuck this is, if I may. Never mind the fact that this dude is using the conspiracy crowd to protect himself from rape charges, because that's a big part of this. Build up this idea that somehow the system, the man, the Pentaverate, the Illuminati, the cabal is after you, so that you can, when they do come after you for real things that you have done, you can go, this is just them coming after me because they don't like what I'm saying. And it means that everything he says is a ruse, is put up simply to create a wall against when the hammer comes down. Right? That's what this is about. Anytime he's talking about the system being against people or making we both know the system is fucked up, right? The reason he's doing that is because he knows one day the hammer will fall and he's got it coming. And he wants you to be on his side because he'll have deluded you into thinking the system is somehow, to blame for this. They've made the whole thing up. It's not that he's not guilty of these things, and he may have pled not guilty. He's got to the charges in England. But he's still got 4 charges in Los Angeles too. Different women. Mm-hmm. Why are we watching these guys? Because he's got 6.7 million subscribers on Rumble alone. This is on YouTube alone, rather, and 5 on Rumble. This video itself, even though it's only 5 hours old, has 16,000 plus views. Now, maybe the vast majority are bots, but this shit has impact. There are people who watch this dude and actually pay attention to what the fuck he says. That's why. That's why I deal with these. You'll notice I don't punch down. Now, I can't, obviously, with my 80-some-odd thousand subscribers, but I'm across a bunch of different areas, so I'm very proud of the fact that we've got a bunch of subscribers across a bunch of other platforms. But I'm always punching up at these groups because these people define the conversation. These people set the conversation on the right. Whether they're, and again, I agree, most of his followers are bots and paid for. I completely agree. But insofar as the way the media pays attention to this, or the way other streamers pay attention to this, that number is that number. It stands no matter what. Yes, they take it as gospel. They believe what this fucker is saying. And it's, you know, he's turned into hippie Alex Jones over the last little bit. Oh, 82.2. Thank you very much for noticing. Subscribe if you would. Yeah, I've got to get out of here. But I want to be abundantly clear that sometimes when we're talking about these people, like when we show Glenn Beck or Russell Brand or Charlie Kirk or some of these people, the more conspiratorial these people get, the more my hackles go up that they are guilty of some kind of a crime. And they know it. And so their best hedge against the day it comes knocking is to convince everybody that the system is against them. Alex Jones did this entirely. Like, full of fraud, is fucking dick pills with lead in them and all that garbage, and going after the Sandy Hook kids. There's like a bunch of reasons why he had it coming. But part of the sales pitch that he tells the world that there's this system that's after all of us, and you've got to watch out because if they come for me, they're going to come for you. All that shit is to protect themselves in this situation, is to put up a wall, is to go, they're coming after me because they're going to come after you. And it's the same thing with Trump. This is what Trump did. They're coming after me so that, you know, but you're next and I'm standing between them and you, this whole thing. Nope. He was just getting his own comeuppance. But this whole conspiratorial, there's a deep state, there's the Democrats own and control the deep state and run it through. And there's this cabal of baby eaters in there that are going to, use the system of lawfare against me. All that story was because he knew he had committed the crimes. He knew he was guilty. And the only real, weapon he had to push back on it was to create this army of deluded dickheads who buy into this idea that the Pentaverate exists and he's one of their victims. I will joke sometimes on the show about when we have a technical difficulty that the Russians or the Chinese or the deep state are coming for me, but you guys know I'm fucking joking. And anything that happens to me in my life that is the result of my own malfeasance or bad behavior or stupidity is mine and mine alone to face. It's not because there's a big cabal out there. It's not because the system is tilted against me and my belief systems. It's my ass. It's not your responsibility to protect me from the system. And when these guys do this stuff, it is so tired. It annoyed the shit out of me listening to it from Alex Jones for years. It's a fucking excuse. It's just Jimmy Swaggart all over again. The devil has entered this realm and made me sin against you. Right? No. Stoic responsibility, baby. Shit goes wrong on my show all the time. It is nobody's fault but mine. What I say and what I believe is of my own belief in creation, and I stand by it. I'm gonna go, well, I heard that somewhere. These people came very well recommended. They highly recommended people. These people that other people told me that I should say that or whatever. This phrase, this is the new shibboleth. This is what we're supposed to be saying, and I said it because they said it, but that's not what I really. Jesus Christ. Take some fucking responsibility. I got news for you. If there was a Pentaverate in the world, there'd be 9 other Pentaverates out there competing and jockeying for position. And this goes back to that big lie, big pharma, big tech, big media. They're all competing with each other. There might have been a thing in the fucking early 1900s where you really did have antitrust situations that needed to be, trust that needed to be broken up, right? Because they own the steel industry, free and clear. There was only one name in town, and anybody who tried would get slapped down, and the government had to come in and protect those people. So we had Netscape and when Gates was accused of like basically scuttling Netscape. You guys remember? I was a big purveyor of Netscape, big fan of Netscape back in the day, right? And you had these people who had basically control. Oh yeah, big Jews, another one. They control, this belief that somebody has control over the entire system, and anybody who tries is just going to get slapped down by them. When in reality, in the pharmaceutical industry, there's 9 fucking pharmaceutical companies, all of equal value, always competing against each other now. If there was one, I'd agree, that'd be a problem. If there were 2 and they were just kind of like, okay, you do that, we'll do this, like Coke and Pepsi, maybe there'd be a problem. But there's fucking 9 of them. And that's not even including the smaller ones that are punching around and that they have to license from and stuff. That doesn't include the NIH and the CDC in the United States that's coming up with stuff. And the European countries that all have their own versions of the CDC and the NIH in their own countries that are coming up with stuff, like the mRNA vaccine stuff that came up through Germany that Trump was trying to fucking buy during 2020, if you remember. There is no big bleh out there. You can affect it all. The idea that there's big tech, big pharma, big anything is to make you feel like you can't have an impact. That's what it's for. It is simply there to make you feel like, Jesus Christ, I can't. How can I fight against big pharma, right? You don't have to. You can go after the oxy pushers when that becomes a thing. But if you thought, oh God, I've got to go after big pharma to deal with that, you never would. It's to make you exhausted and make you feel like you can't have an impact. And it's bullshit. Same with the deep state. There's no deep state. There's bureaucrats and elected officials and a mix of the two, and they swap people out when they come in and out of office. It's a fucking lie to make you sit down. It's a messaging thing. And multiple people benefit from it, so they let that lie float. And these guys, the Russell Brands of the world, and the Alex Joneses of the world, and the Bill O'Reillys of the world, know that one day their sexual activities, their violent sexual activities, or their financial malfeasance is going to come barreling down on them. And so what they need you to do is believe it's not because they did anything wrong. It's because the system is set up by this murky, amorphous group. And they're coming after me now. Instead of like, no, you just fucking broke the law. The Sackler's a great example, Timothy Walker. Right. Most people thought, didn't go after the Sacklers because they thought they were taking on all of pharma. They absolutely fucking were not. So this is crucial. Like anybody who is selling you this idea that there's this big shadow group out there, globalists, the Jews that run everything, whatever, is running one of 2 games, if not both at the same time. One, they're selling you something. They're bullshitting you to make you feel like they are the only conduit. They are the Jesus, but through their light you shall not reach heaven. And you cannot go, there is no other path but them. I'm the guy who has the inside information. I'll tell you who's behind the scenes trying to come after you so you can avoid it, right? You have to come back here and keep watching and keep buying and all that kind of stuff. It's bullshit. Come to my show because it has value and leave when it doesn't for you. Come and go as a human being and be a viewer and a supporter as you want to. And all these other people who are trying to attach the end times to fucking signing up for their goddamn show can pound sand. That said, I want to thank the trolls for being here today because without you guys, we wouldn't beat the algorithm in the way that we do, because it's funny that I have way fewer subscribers, but a lot more viewers than a lot of these other channels. It's interesting. It's interesting. It's interesting. It's excellent. It's excellent. But until next time, I'll leave you guys. I've got to drive to LA tonight after I feed my family. And I'm going to be on Stephanie Miller's show in the morning. And then I'm going to do the Queer as Folk get together tomorrow night. And then I'm going to get back in my car and drive back here. And then I'm going to have Harry Dunn on the Friday show. I mean, come on. I'm also going to have a regular show tomorrow afternoon. I will be doing a regular show. I'll just be doing it from LA. So we will have a regular afternoon show. Appreciate you. And thank you. And take care of yourself. And take care of somebody else, will you? Hold on. I think there's a... Yeah. Thank you guys so much. Look at all the new members. Thank you guys so much. Love you too.